do you ever go down, and I don't really give a shit, but do you ever go down the aisle where you're getting like panty liners and there's always a staff member stacking the shelves?
Always. Never not. Or like...
Always.
Oh. Which one is it? Which one is it?
I don't know. Let's play around with them.
Let's go.
A little bit like that. Hello, and you are very welcome along to the Unpopular Opinion podcast. If I came in at a weird time at the jingle there, sorry, we can't hear it. We have our new equipment, and I can't guarantee that this is going to sound any better because it's very new. We've been promising this for a long time,
and
we're
it's
like,
here.
it's gonna sound so great, guys. But now we don't know our arses from our elbows.
No, it's look, who decides to whip out all their new equipment and record
15 minutes before recording an episode?
Pretty much.
That's
we
us.
do.
TUO, that's who.
That's who with those bitches.
Your weekly reminder that we're on Patreon.
I was going to say, what's your name?
Oh, my name is Jen.
And I'm Carla.
And this is I'm not even, you have to throw me off there. Fucking hell. Yeah, weekly reminder, we're on Patreon. Loads of people are after joining us. Don't know, have we just gotten all of a sudden even more interest?
I think we're just cooler.
It is quite. In fairness, though, we've had such a response for today's topic. We asked our Patreons what they wanted to hear, and they suggested part 2 of this. So
you get choices, guys, on Patreon.
Yeah, you'll be added to our close friends list on the Insta stories. And
you get polls, you get inside scoop on shit that's gone wrong, you get inside scoop on beef, you get inside scoop on a lot of things over there. So for €6 of your euros, you get 5 extra episodes, one that we record and publish on a Monday.
Mm-hmm. Every
Monday. So you get this on your Sundays, and then our Patreon episodes come out on a Monday. And then I feel very weird with this equipment, Jen.
I know. We can hear ourselves in our own ears. It's very off-putting.
I hate my voice. Anyway, has a podcast. Hates voice, has a podcast. But so €6 a month, 5 extra episodes. We do a guest episode every month. We get the coolest, bestest, funkiest,
are looking in,
slickest guests.
They're after seeing us with the mics.
Yeah, and I'm delighted for them. Would you like to come in, lads? Give us an opinion. Give
us your ball. I'll force the fucking thing.
Come on in, lads. Come on, give us an unpopular opinion. Is Santa Claus real? Well, let me tell you.
It's debatable. What is this episode about?
This episode was actually a listener suggestion, which I am all over, because we love to entertain. Oh,
That's clear.
Apologies, guys. So this was a listener suggestion. It came into us. I don't think I'll give her full her full name. But it was the lovely Lisa. Mm-hmm. Lisa. And she suggested, after we did the Family Feuds episode, she was like, I would love for you guys to do one on parents, and kind of basically like everything to do with parents, and also covering the thoughts of like maybe becoming a parent too, which is something that me and you have very different views on. But so we're going to talk through our stories, things that our parents did when we were younger that kind of aren't really.
Well, I think this was kind of inspired because you did say in our message there was a lot of talk of parents in it, and we did mention in last week's episode that we were kind of like, when we were kids, our parents were our parents. They weren't actual human beings.
No, we didn't register them as humans with a life and friends and anything other than being our
desires.
Yeah,
and
like things that they want to do with their lives, and like stories and past and everything. So so we wanted your opinions, what you guys thought of them as a kid versus like what you think of them now as an adult. That can change. Any mad habits or things that they do, but we just kind of accept them because they're our parents, even though like looking at them you're like, that's strange. Lies that they told us and let us believe as children. That's a good one.
The little white lies do be funny.
Specific trauma that they've left us with as well, for in particular, and things that we hate about them but we just accept because they're the rents. And then, as I said earlier, thoughts on becoming a parent, because obviously me and Jen we got one who is and one who ain't.
Yeah. We'll touch on that later. I feel like my experience probably isn't the majority. Do you know?
Really?
I'm kind of living like a single parent.
I was about to say you're a single man without being a single man.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Yeah, so it's like I probably would have a worse outlook on it than a couple who are newly parents in their own gaff. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, we can revisit that when.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine and all. But I just feel like we're particular. We'll touch on it.
We'll touch on it, guys. So as I said, I think it's a super suggestion. And hence why we're recording it now. We've had a massive reaction.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you, but
I think plow quickly through our own experiences.
Yeah.
And then I would imagine a lot of things will get unlocked along the way.
Memory unlocked.
Just call this the relationship series. Had families last week.
Yeah, family
like not too long ago.
Toxic friendships. We did the anti-ick randomly.
We did.
Yeah, and then
the relationship series.
Here we are.
I'm just branding it as that now. All
so
right.
let's start light.
Trademark that.
Let's start light. Lies they told you as a kid that you believed.
Thunder was God moving his furniture.
What?
Thunder. The noise of thunder was God moving his furniture.
Right.
Then because it was such a Catholic kind of my upbringing was Catholic, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it was like
it was
optional.
Like God existed,
but did he?
But we didn't go to church. But we did on communions, but we didn't like. We went to the Christmas nativity mass on Christmas Eve until my nana died, and then it was like my ma can't be given out to now because my nana's dead, and we you know.
I was about to say, so like Irish, I always call that Irish modern Catholic, because I don't know, like even through all my friends, people that I know that actively believe versus people that I know that are kind of don't really, it's all the same. They don't go to church unless it's for a ceremony of some kind, unless it's a wedding, a christening, a funeral. I won't see them at church. Yeah. Maybe a midnight mass at Christmas. Maybe.
Well, that's it. But I mean, it was more so the fact that like God was kind of always in the background, but it wasn't that we were mad religious. So like thunder was God moving his furniture. Anytime somebody died, they went up to Holy God. That was where they had gone. Like they were in the clouds, like, you know, stroking harps.
Oh,
that kind of like
right,
they were up in heaven as angels. That was the image that I was given.
Okay.
Eating crust off your toast and your bread gave you curly hair.
Yeah, I've heard it, but I didn't believe it.
Yeah. Carrots with your eyes and all that gave you better sight. That kind of shit. You know?
The huge.
Then obviously we have the can we earmuff little ears, please, just in case you're playing us around any little ears. It's probably not the best podcast to play around them, but obviously we have Sandy.
Yeah.
And the Ina Munya and the two Amy. I actually saw a hilarious, I don't know whether it was a tweet, it was somewhere, it was on the internet, it's not mine, I don't claim it, but I read it.
I don't claim it.
Like,
I don't claim it.
I'm not like taking credit for it, but like there was it was something about like a kid. Oh, he wrote a letter and it was a picture of the letter. I think it was on Twitter. And it was like, "Dear diary, I lost my tooth 3 days ago and didn't tell my parents. No money under my pillow. Told my parents, guess what? Money under the pillow."
Starting to put two and two together here.
PSA when I go back to school. Tooth fairy is not fucking real.
But that's the thing. Don't ruin it for other kids. But yeah, no. I was a big believer on the Tooth Fairy, big believer on the Easter Bunny, big believer on Santa. I can't think of any like particular lies that my mum or dad told me.
Yeah.
Like I can't think of any like things that I was looking back and I was like, no, you spoofers.
There was probably, no, I'd say there was an awful lot more than that, but it was, do you know, this is another one. So we all know, if you're a long time follower of the podcast, I had severe OCD as a child and I fucking hated being departed from my mother. Thought the whole world was going to collapse around me. Did mad shit before I went to bed to make sure nothing bad would it was
true.
Obviously undiagnosed. It wasn't clinically diagnosed, but looking back on it now, I'm like, that was actual, like I thought everyone was going to die if I didn't do these things.
Yeah.
But the only place I would let my mum go was the pub. So if she told me she was going to the pub, I'd be like, yeah, all right, Grant. because I obviously didn't like hanging around pubs or, you know, like Christians and stuff like that. It just wasn't my bag. Pub didn't appeal to me. So she could go to the pub. I was cool with that. I'd stay with whoever. But when we moved from Finglas over to Blanche, obviously my mum was getting to know friends or whatever, and you know, she's just getting to know the neighbours. Now, since we moved there, she has our best friend on our road and stuff like that. But you know, obviously down the years, like these things have come to light. So when my mum's friend would knock at the door and say my mum was gone, I don't know, like into a hospital appointment or doctor appointment, she could have been getting a smear for all I know. Like, I don't know where she was. But in order for me to stay at home with whoever was minding me, she told me that she went to the pub, and it was happening often. So she obviously had like a lot of shit to do, you know, like she had to go to town for whatever reason. She might just happen to go to post office, you know, like probably just wanted a fucking break from me. Don't blame her. But it was like Tina would come over and knock over during the day. It'd be like 12 o'clock in the day, or could have been 10 in the morning, and I'd be like, oh, she's in the pub. So without realising what was going on, Tina was like, oh God, I think she has a problem.
No.
And I don't think Tina said it to me ma for a good few years. So I think they were talking about,
imagine, where's your mum when you like 11 o'clock? She's at the pub.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
Yeah, and Tina never said it to me ma because she thought this was like an underlying problem. And she I don't know, they must have been talking about the kids or whatever, like later or a couple of years later, or however long later it was. I remember my mum saying this was going on for a while without her saying it to her. And they were talking like, she's like, oh, the only time I can get out of the house without Jen is like when I tell her that I go to the pub, and then it all kind of.
She was like, right, embarrassing. Thank God I didn't actually ever confront you about that.
It's all making sense now.
Her there in the background, cancel the intervention.
Yeah.
Father Thomas, if you just don't show up to the house.
Yeah, that's literally the only time I'd let her leave the house. Or like, do you remember or maybe you didn't, particularly, it must have been just, I don't know whether it was my family or whatever, but say there was like a big Christmas night out or a big Christmas party, and they were going to go out for a night out, and there was like a big thing, or maybe they were staying overnight, you know, in a hotel close to Christmas. I think it was a Christmas party related type of thing, but that was always the night that they were going to pay Santi.
Clever.
So you'd never question them on why they were staying out.
You'd be like, good, have as many drinks as you need to. I'll see you whenever.
Yeah, no, but that was their night out. But to us kids, it was them going to the North Pole to get
make sure you tip them well.
I was like, this is very important.
You're like, oh, important.
This excursion is very important.
My OCD goes away.
Go.
Goes away.
Exactly. What the fuck is that
go
about?
away now.
I know.
Brain
Well,
rationalise.
now, I will say, I don't know where it came from, because like obviously, like I was only talking about this in work yesterday, and the girls were like, they don't really know me that well. I'm only working there a certain amount of time, but I was saying about some of the stuff from when I was a kid, and they were kind of trying to, you know, not laugh, but then laugh under their thing and go like, that's fucking hilarious, but it's bad as well. Because they were talking about, like, you know, when they, so say, I'm going to use an example. Janet's daughter, Tim, doesn't like using the potty, like, or doesn't like using public toilets, so she has to bring the potty or whatever. And then Janet's mom is like, you need to get her out of that, you know, like, you can't do that, you can't, like, or saying something to the kids, and or saying something to the kid about it, like, and you can't do that, or like, you know, nobody's going to want to be around you, you know, just so, like, that's usual just an example. And I was like, in my response to her story, I was like, the amount of fucking, like, without realising the amount of trauma they could actually cause you by saying, like, to a kid. I was like, because there's plenty of times now, my fault, I was being a little bastard, but my mum would lose her patience, and she'd be like, I remember this, I think that's how I, like, this was kind of a traumatic moment for me. We were in Duns, in the Ilac. I don't know if you remember the setup. It was in the corner.
It's still there.
It's still there, but it was a full Duns.
It
wasn't
now.
like, it wasn't like split into three different, like the home one, the clothes one, and the grocery one. It was the full Duns. And I remember my ma walking up to a fella in a denim jacket. I remember what he was wearing. Going, will you take her home with you? Like, because I was being a little brat. And then, of course, I shut the fuck up. But, like, later on, she told me, I was like, I remember you offering me to a fella in Duns. was like,
offering
He
me.
was like, I winked at him going up. It was to scare the shite out of you, to stop you from being a little bollocks in the lilac. Like,
Yeah.
you were being a little shit. And I was like, yeah, but Ma, that stayed with me.
It's weird, isn't it? There's certain things. That's what I mean. It's like the trauma that your parents gave you.
Yeah. And then, like, I know for years later, I was, like, petrified of me
Traumatized. Man in the
mother
denim.
leaving me somewhere or running away from me. Now, it wasn't, I don't think it was that, because, like, I was crying. I was attached to my mum's hip from the age of very fucking young, without even being able to speak. She'd leave the house and I would scream the house down until she came back. Like, I don't think it wasn't that particular thing. I don't know where it came from. Maybe it was because I was in hospital for a good few months when I was a tiny baby.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was that. I don't know where it came from. But, like,
You alright?
I'm alright now. Just grew out of it. Start to not give a shit anymore.
Oh, cool.
Rebel.
Rebel. That's funny. Yeah, I think I've mentioned this before, but like Tom worked in Tesco when he was younger, and parents would always use him as the bad man.
Oh.
And he used to get so annoyed. He'd be like, I'm not the fucking bad man.
Yeah,
It's
I
he's
know.
you. Right, you're giving your kid trauma in the name of me. Don't do it. And I was like, never thought of that. Another thing that I had to give a shit of. I wasn't very attached to, obviously I have an older sister. I wasn't very attached to I don't think I was very attached to either parent, but I hated when I was excluded from things.
Okay.
And I was too young to go horse riding.
Okay.
My sister's 3 years older than me, so obviously she we both started riding horses. I think I was 4, maybe 3. First time I went on a pony. 4, the first time I started like actually getting lessons like actively. But obviously I was too young, and my mum and my dad, they used to split us quite a bit. So I'd go and do things with Ray, and Amy would go and do things with my mum. Obviously because Amy was old enough that she could go ride the horses.
Yeah.
And I used to I wouldn't twig. They'd set me up. They fucking set me in this very room, Jen. This very fucking room.
On
They'd
this
set
spot.
me up on this spot, and they'd mince it out. And my mum was like, I wouldn't let it go. I'd be like, have they gone horse riding? Horse riding?
Oh God.
Have we got Amy gone horse riding? Amy gone horse riding? And she was like, and you'd have a little meltdown, and Ray would let you have your meltdown, and then you'd be fine. She's like, you just got over it. You just forgot about it. Yeah. So like me and Ray used to go and like cycle the River Road, where he'd have like the little thing on the back.
Oh.
Yeah. I remember that really specifically. And then I was old enough and I could go horse riding.
Yeah.
And Ray had his weekends back to himself, basically.
Oh, bless.
Because Ray never rode horses.
Yeah.
Didn't really enjoy them. So yeah. So I remember that like specifically, and you know, they try and pacify me with other things, but I remember in particular then I was too young to like my mum used to hunt, so then I was too young to hunt or do hunter trials. And they pacify me by bringing me to the tennis club. I used to love the tennis club, Castleknock Tennis Club, great place. And Ray was mad into the tennis club as well, so I could go and do the things. But I remember like that fire in my belly, knowing that I was being excluded.
Yeah.
Even at that young age, I was like, "Rrrr!" But my mum always is like, oh, Amy gone house widen. I'm like, okay, I'm 31, relax. I don't even ride horses anymore. Amy does, but I don't.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would imagine I'm gonna start thinking of a lot of other stuff that, you know.
Yeah, I remember, and probably like testament to them, we were split quite a bit when we were kids.
Yeah.
Until the horses, really. Because
Okay.
then the horses kind of become your weekend.
Yeah.
You know,
okay.
it's a big thing, you know.
It is.
like it's
Yeah.
It's very
very
laborious.
time-consuming.
Yeah, very as we know from my sister, it's incredibly time consuming. You can really make a couple of days out of taking care of a horse. But yeah, so those were kind of like, those are the things that popped to my head. I suppose not lies, but like things that I just accepted,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I suppose that's what I did when my ma told me she was going to the pub. I just accepted it. Let's get into some listeners' stories, shall we?
All right.
I'm going into the requests of the DMs here.
Okay.
So things I believed. The after eights used to be put out when setting the table for dinner parties. For when dinner parties were on, but I couldn't have any because they were poisonous before 8 p.m, which was after I'd go to bed. That's why they were called after eights. And that's what our parents told her.
Oh my god.
And she lived by that.
She lived, and that was something that she lived by. I do want to say before we actually get into listener stories, these vary from like incredibly traumatic to absolutely off the charts.
Yeah.
Like some of the ones that I've seen I was howling at earlier, and then other ones I was like nearly sobbing too. So I will just say, buckle your seatbelts.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of them, so I'm excited.
My parents were far from perfect, and even though we're very close now, thank God, I used to be so angry with them for not being perfect. Then you grow up and you realise they're human. They had me in their early 20s, and I'm like, holy shit, if I had a kid in my 20s, I'd probably have screwed it up a lot more than they did. I think you can accept their humanity and you can save yourself a lot of pain. Just my 2 cents.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, there's one thing that really disappoints me, and like, my mum, I absolutely adore the bones off her. But one thing that used to kind of annoy me when I was growing up, which can I blame her for? I don't know. So I would like kind of hobbies. So first it was Irish dancing, and then it was like fit teens, and then it was like
teens?
Fit teens.
What is that?
Yeah, it was like fit kids and fit teens.
What the fuck is that?
It's just like a community dance class, really cheap one.
Did you learn dances?
You just did dance. It was like an exercise thing. They just called it fit kids and fit teens.
Oh.
Yeah. It was a mess. Like, there was absolutely no.
It was a whole mess.
It was just because I remember it being in Huntstown. It was Huntstown Church, but like there was an extension put on Huntstown Church. So the original church was like the altar was in the middle, and there was like the pews went either way, and then they extended it because the area got bigger.
Yeah.
Into like, no, it was across.
More fit kids.
But
more fit teens.
No, it wasn't even that. It was like a prefab, and that's where everything was held because you could remove the pews because it wasn't built in.
I hate.
So it was that it was like hollow floorboard ground, and so like if we were doing a fucking dance, like you were sure to hear us down the road.
It was like boom, boom,
it was
boom.
shocking. Anybody who grew up in Huntstown and went to that, you'll remember that noise and that smell.
Yeah,
the smell of the hall. I don't know why they didn't just put
damp.
us in the PE
smell of
hall.
Damp.
Yeah, but I
can
don't know why.
Smell it already. It's the smell of damp.
But the PE hall was perfect. No, it was huge.
Like, no, they wanted their fit kids doing something else. I don't know.
Yeah, they probably had the Irish dancing over there. But sorry, I digress. My mum kind of just threw money at them things, and it was nearly like, get rid of her. Not get rid of her, but like, when it came to...
But did you recognise that as a kid?
No, it was only when I got older I was like, wow.
Do you care? Now I'm like, yeah, get rid of me. No?
I always felt like...
Like, yeah, Ray and D split me. Do you know what I mean?
No, it wasn't. Do you know what it was? Was because I always did these activities with my friend whose parents were really into whatever she was into.
Oh.
Not really into it in a sinister way, but anytime there was a competition or there was a show, they were always there. And that didn't really happen.
They were Ray.
Yeah, they were always there, and they were always really supportive, and always like got her the gear, you know, like the fest dresses and the tap shoes and all that kind of stuff. Whereas I was always kind of just pawned off with not that, like, she didn't have that much money. They didn't have that much money. We didn't go on holidays, like, you know, and there was a big difference there with the pay scale. Like, my mum kind of gave up work when. It was an agreement between her and my dad. Yeah, like it was an agreement. No, she went back to work after she had me, but then it was just like a couple of years later, it was like, do you know what? I'm not fucking doing this. I might as well stay at home with the kids. Like, and then it was an agreement that they.
I feel it, Sheila. I feel you, girl.
But they did kind of like, they agreed on it, and they were like, look, we're not going to have holidays. We're not going to be able to do this, but that's what we're willing to do. That's fine. But like, I would, and in fairness, I suppose maybe I should have a conversation with her. But like, it was kind of like, oh, Amy always had the shoes with the, you know, the noisy things for the thing, and I just got the pumps. Or she got the big fest dress, and I got like a velvet dress that was already in the wardrobe, but it looked
feshy. Yeah,
it was grand. Yeah, like, so, and then like, she would or she wouldn't turn up to some of the competitions, and then when she did turn up, it was like, there wasn't really like, oh, well done.
Yeah.
Or there was a stark comparison between and it was only my mum and her 2 parents.
It's tough when you have a friend that has
all that support.
A parent like that.
Yeah. Well, she's like,
because you're kind of like, yikes. Do you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I see. It's a weird.
I did like, and because you were saying to me, did I notice it at the time, or did I only notice it now? I did always feel like the odd one out.
You didn't know what you felt, but you felt something.
Something was missing.
Yeah, you were like, oh,
I always felt like I didn't belong, or I wasn't the same as everyone else.
Oh, Jen.
Yeah. Now when I got older and I went to Taekwondo, I was a bit older, and like parents weren't really showing up to that.
No,
club.
that
that was the first club that I actually felt a part of, and that I wasn't different. But that was because I was older, and like that parents didn't really show up. And I did have fights where I remember her coming to them, and she was like, it was kind of like, I don't know, it was like, oh yeah, well done or whatever, but it wasn't probably as enthusiastic as it could have been. Do you know, that kind of thing? And I did always feel like, but then my ma always was a mad thing, and I always drank on a Friday and a Saturday, and you know, like,
she still has her little
drinks.
routine.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, she enjoyed her drinks, and she's only human, and I can't take that away from her.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And realistically, if Bobby was, say, going to a football match and I was going out the night before and I had to go to this football match, I would be fucking fuming. Like, I would be going, oh, Jesus, it's the last thing I want to do. Do you know? So I can't really blame her, but at the same time, it was just...
At the same time, I blame her.
At the same time, it was like, I just remember it happening too many times.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I think it is, like, it's almost like my mum never had an interest, like, not she never had an interest, but it was Ray's thing. He was at every single hockey match, and I played a lot of fucking hockey. That man was there every single one, but he used to bring us all over. Like, he'd drive, like, you know, when we were in the Leinsters and stuff like that, he'd bring us all, like, he'd pack the car full of the team, like as many as he could take, and that was every single, because you know the way you'd be like, who's doing lifts, and it would always be like Ray. Do you know what I mean? Like, Ray's always doing lifts. He never missed a match. Like, he'd rearrange holidays and everything to make sure that he never missed a match.
That's so cute.
So cute. But I think that's why I never, like, looked to my mum. It just was always kind of a thing that Ray did the sports and my mum did not do the sports. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? She just didn't care. It just, but I never, and now I'm almost like, I wonder if she's a bit raging because I have so many nice memories
of those
times with Ray. Do you get me? So it's kind of like, I wonder if she's a bit raging, or if she's a bit like, no, I didn't give a fuck. So it wasn't my bag. Saturday morning I had a lie and went to the gym.
Yeah.
You went played hockey. Woo! No one gives a shit. So I do wonder that, but I think it's funny because even with, again, there was those certain parents. There was you know, I played with twins as well, and their dad was always there, and it was always like Ray and then their dad, you know, and then there was like a couple of mums, like 2 or 3 mums, and they would rotate, but everyone knew Ray was being there, and everyone knew the twins' dad was going to be there, and they'd scream on the sidelines, and I'd get so angry. So I'd be like, that's so embarrassing, I can hear you, please shut the fuck up. But I never felt that from other. Like, I remember one girl in particular being like, oh, it's so nice that your dad did. And I remember at the time being like, yeah, whatever. You don't care, do you know?
No, at the time.
I was like, yeah, whatever. Do you want to go to the shop? We'll get some drinks.
Yeah.
And he used to bring us to the bakery, and he'd bring us and get us, like, he was the cutest.
Yeah.
Like, we've a bit of time. Shall we get you girls some Lucasades?
Oh, he's so cute.
He was the best. Yeah, he was the best. But if you wanted him to be, if it was a sporting event, see, he was interested. And that's what I mean. Like, maybe she just wasn't interested in the
That's true.
I wouldn't have been.
I know, it's absolutely fair enough. Like, that's the thing. Like, when obviously now that I'm an adult, I can appreciate that she just probably wasn't fucking arsed. Like, she's been getting up all week, getting us ready for school. Like, do you know, that kind of thing.
You're like, here's the mirror.
I completely understand, but at the same time, At the time, I was always comparing her to my friend's mum, which didn't really help. Yeah. But then, at the same time, again, as that, my dad never showed up to a fucking thing, and I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I don't blame him. I never go, oh, my dad never showed up to anything.
That's what I mean.
It's just always been the way he has been. But and it's terrible that I give my mum not showing up more thought.
And it's like, it's weird because you have to explore, because I was really close with my mum during that time. But I did not have that anticipation, or that expectation of her as I did with Ray.
So weird. Yeah.
And I feel like if Ray did like miss a match, I'd be like, I cannot believe that you did that to me. Do you know? I probably would have.
Yeah.
But for my mum, I just didn't give a fuck. We did other things.
Yeah.
And I have and that's what I mean. I feel like with my parents, they had very separate. Well, looking back now, did they have separate lives? I don't know.
Mighty done.
I don't know. They fucking divorced after 30 years. But it's very like when you look back now, I'm like, oh, was that a thing? Do you know when you're like, oh, was that? Oh, was there trouble in paradise?
Yeah.
Do you know? Not that I'd ever fucking be told. But they'd be like, no, everything was perfect. Amazing.
Do you think they'll ever open up about
I
when
hope
it
they
all
don't.
started?
I don't want to know.
All right.
I think, like, I've said this before on the podcast, and I think I said this on the divorce one, but like, me and Tom always have this debate. Tom's parents split up when he was 12. My parents split up when I was 21. And what's worse, not knowing or knowing? I think knowing. Being in my position, I think knowing. Whether it's Tom's like not having a choice, is that worse, or having a choice? I think having a choice is worse, but then I'm only speaking from my own experience.
Yeah.
You know,
it's hard to know.
It's kind of hard to know, but that's what I mean. I'm like, is it a kind of thing? Because I don't know. We'll just never know. That's what it's like. They're people. They're not just Ray and Dee. They're actual human beings with friends and agendas and agency and life. I don't know. It's crazy, yo.
Yeah, I know. We'll get it. Jesus, we've heard that.
Jesus, we're stuck.
Even an awful lot of trauma. Oh my God, perfect topic. My mum tells my sister and I, 22 and 18, that she doesn't smoke but goes out to the garden for vague reasons and comes back inside smelling of cigarettes and still maintains that she doesn't smoke for no reason and we know. What's this performance for? I would love to know. No idea how to address it, but it's genuinely the most bizarre thing. She also doesn't let us eat crunchy food in her presence because it annoys her. Question mark. But this doesn't apply to her. The woman's insane. Love the pod girlies. It's the only thing that keeps me going. Oh, thank you so much.
Do you know what I was actually going to say as well? That's hilarious. So, why are you out in the garden? Tell me.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like... they're
doing that on purpose.
They're taking the piss now. They are. Look, they're looking in.
I'll actually go out. Will I go out?
Yeah, go on.
Will I go out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh God.
Oh God.
How are we feeling after that?
Now the little posh cunts. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
They're still looking at us and they're still, being loud. They're actually gonna do it on purpose now.
I actually did the Ross Geller hands.
Did you? I didn't
Just
even
a
look
little
at
bit, guys. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. A little squeaky.
They're kind of side-eyeing us through this means war.
I know. And if they fight me, I'll fucking fight back.
I might just reverse make it. No, let's not. Let's not get cancelled.
No, excuse me.
Let's not. I would never do such a thing. What were you saying there before you?
Her mum having the cheeky fags.
Oh, her mum having the cheeky fags. Yeah.
And this is what I find funny about her mum having the cheeky fags. It's like, what is that about?
I don't know.
Like she's afraid that the girls are going to see her?
I don't know.
Like 18 and 22.
I know.
They can make their own decisions about cigarettes.
They can. They surely can.
Maybe it's that. Who knows? I've one here. They really are ramping it up.
They are like they're getting louder on purpose. I'd go into the parents.
I'll get Ray to go. I will get my parent to go into their parents. Don't just move the fucking basketball hoop.
Yeah, I know. Literally, there's no reason for it to be there.
I hate them. Anyway, on parents, it's mad reaching the age when you realise your parents are just people. People with their own issues who are probably muddling through and had no idea what they were doing, but just made it up as they went along. That's the craziest thing, really. Like, there's no test or pre-screen for being a parent. I went through a phase of being angry over ways my parents had affected me growing up and negative ways in which that they shaped me, which I'm now trying to unlearn. But the anger dissipated a lot when I came to the realisation that they were generally doing the best they could with what they knew at the time. I do feel, though, that before I have kids, if I do, I want to work on myself as much as possible so as to not have my issues or past trauma be carried on to another generation. I think we can blame our parents a lot, but as a young generation, I think they really didn't know better and weren't supported in the way that we are in terms of mental health exploration. I think we can forgive our parents, but I also realise that we want to do better. Here's to a generation who are solid and at peace with themselves before having children, if that's what they want, as opposed to having them young due to social pressure.
Yeah. I feel like like a few of the points that she said, I feel like parents these days, they I don't know, are they like, I don't know. I always feel like I'm really irresponsible as a parent just because
Really?
of.
I feel like you're too responsible as a parent. Listen up.
Really?
Listen up. Have a bit of fun.
Well, you see, I've just always like envisioned my parents as being really responsible and like that. I've only ever seen, well, when I was a kid, I only ever saw them as parents and not really having, like, being human, having a life, or seeing them get like stupid to the point where I'm just like, oh my god, I don't feel safe with these people.
Yeah.
Whereas.
Yeah.
And I suppose Bobby knows no better, but like I just feel irresponsible. My parents had their house. They were married before they had me, and they were still really young
Yeah.
when they had me.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like just a fucking hot mess. Now I know Bobby doesn't know that, but I don't know. I just feel really, and I've spoken to a few people who are like affected by the housing crisis and already have their kids, and they feel that's the only way they can kind of describe it is that they feel irresponsible.
I think that's how the government would have you think it. Like, Jen, I know the budget. I know the budget that you have to buy a house. That's a fucking unbelievable amount of money, and you're able to buy one, and you should be like. You are literally being given like
No
2
options.
pieces of the IKEA furniture and told to fucking build the thing. Do you know what I mean? It's not a you thing. It really is a country thing.
No, I know that it's out of my control.
Yeah.
But I still can't help but feel irresponsible. Not that I feel responsible for my situation. I don't. I know that if things weren't as in the shitter as they are, I would be sorted by now. But it makes me... No, sorry. Maybe I don't feel irresponsible. I feel like I would be viewed as irresponsible.
No.
In Bobby's eyes, if he knew what was going on.
No, I don't think that's true. I think, and I've had this conversation with a few people, but in particular, one of my friends, her boyfriend got social housing after 10 years, I think, of being on the list. And they wanted to have another baby, and we were talking about it. And she was like, I don't know who invented this fucking myth where every kid has to have a bedroom and its own ensuite and this, that, and the other. Because I was kind of saying to her, oh, what are you going to do if you have another baby? She's like, have it in the apartment that we were just given. Yeah. I was like, oh, do you know, in that kind of way, she was like, I don't know. Yeah. Like when we were younger, our kid, my granddad was one of 11, so was my granny. Do you know, it's like not everybody just gets, realm, it's not this big luxury to have that. It's this kind of, we've kind of gotten to a point where kids don't know. If you grew up sharing a room with your sister, you don't know any different. You don't know how to have your own room. You don't know, like if you grew up with an ensuite, it's very hard to go to not have an ensuite.
Yeah.
If you grew up with it in a house with 7 bathrooms, it's very hard to go to one that has 2.
It's a privilege, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's kind of like, I think we need to, there is some things with kids, they're a brilliant excuse for the wrong kind of people.
Yeah.
And they always say, well, what about Kim? What about this? And what about, like, Bobby wouldn't give a flying fuck.
Yeah.
I'm sure when Bobby's our age, and just like we look back, I'm like, well, I hope my mum and dad were happy.
Yeah.
And I hope I wasn't the root of their own, do you know, and that kind of, no, I'm sure I wasn't. But you know what I mean? I'm like, I don't think Bobby would give a fuck.
Yeah.
Do you know? I just don't think he would care. And I don't think any kids do care. Because like I have friends in different kind of situations with different kind of setups for the kids. I have people that are long-term renting, people that are, in like very small, like, one beds with kids and all that other kind of stuff. And it's never affected the kid. It affects you more thinking about what the kid is thinking rather than yourself.
Yeah.
I get Bobby does not and will not ever and will never view that as an issue because it's a sign of the times.
I know it is, but it just feels unfair on him because at his age, I already had a better upbringing than he's having.
But you didn't. You can't say that either. You think in your head a better upbringing is having. He's had whopper time with his nan and his granddad that he won't get back.
Yeah,
there's all these different things. Do you know, like when you put things into perspective, like Tom kind of had a bit of a situation when he was back living in the UK where he ended up having to live back with his grandparents because his mum was moving and all this other stuff, and his grandparents died a year later.
Yeah.
Thank God he had that.
Yeah.
You just never know it's a blessing until it's a blessing in front of you. So I know what you're saying, and I know it's really shit because you're like, I should be able to provide, I should be able to do this, I should be able to do that, but it's not as if you're not fucking trying. It's not as if you're like, fuck it anyway.
Yeah.
Like you've done, and kids know what they're taught. They don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
Like, they are their surroundings, and they are what you give them. And honestly, like, looking back, you'll in a couple of years, you're gonna be like, oh wow, I really, really loved that time that I got to spend with my family. As tough as it was, and as much as of a single man as I thought I was, it was actually a really, really nice time that I got to have with my mum and dad, because you'll never live with them again. That's it.
Yeah.
And I know you probably thought that. You will never live with them again. It's really sad.
Oh, God, yeah, I never thought of that.
Yeah, Ray said that to me.
Oh, thanks for that.
Yeah.
I feel better.
Yeah.
I go home and just give me my big fucking smooch now. Suck the eyeball off her. Do you want to go ahead with the next message?
Yeah, but I do actually, I want to call this out because I think I'll try and I'll repost it, I won't, whatever. But there's a guy called Tommy Siegel who does drawings, and he has a book called Candy Hearts, and I bought it for my bar.
Oh, no.
I bought it for my little bar.
Very nice.
And there's one, and it's like 2 candy hearts sitting on a couch, and one of the candy hearts, you know, instead of it saying love you or whatever, it says we will not mess you up, and then the other one says like our parents messed us up, and then there's a baby candy heart on the floor going a whole new kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's funny, because we're all like, we're not going to be like our parents, are we not? Y'all sure?
I know. I feel like we have an awful lot more to deal with. Like, our parents definitely grew up in simpler times.
Yeah. When houses were 20k. Yeah, they did.
They definitely did. They don't have as much to battle. I do, like, I suppose what's good about our generation is that we're a bit more progressive.
Yeah.
To be able to bring our kids up with a bit more awareness.
Yeah.
Do you know? Like, say, this is a very different Ireland to when we were, say, Bobby's age.
Yeah.
And, like, it wasn't as diverse.
Yeah.
Women's rights weren't exactly, like, there wasn't as much activism for them. There wasn't as much, like, shit going on around the world.
Yeah.
So I just feel like, and then obviously you have every news source at the top of a finger now. You can, like, they can be educated a good bit better.
Well, they grew up in a church state, didn't they? And we don't.
As well.
You know, so
yeah.
I think it's very different now, because we just don't, you know, and it's kind of, that affects, so, like, even looking back, like, that affected and continues to affect so many people and so much stuff, and the way that we choose to do a lot of things and our, like, morality. So imagine that, except times a million.
Yeah.
To something that they didn't really even buy that much into. Like, my grandparents, my mum's parents are incredibly, like, Catholic and holy and religious, and it's mad because my mum just, like, she just didn't bring us up that way. She's just kind of like, cool, do your own thing, whatever. And same with Ray. Yeah. You know, and I think that's what I mean. Whereas before that, it just was kind of unheard of. It was because they grew up in a church state, and that's just how things were. So not only that, but it's funny even now, like, as much as I respect Ray and I love his opinions, I won't talk about politics with him because he just annoys me.
Okay.
You know? So it's kind of like, there's some people that can sit down and really get into it with their parents, isn't it? And I just wouldn't do that.
No.
Because I just end up arguing with them and be like, fuck off! If you're going to support the government, get away from me!
Oh, I feel like all my mum does is ever does is just gives out about them. I'm just like, here we fucking go. Like, the last thing she will watch before she goes to bed is Claiborne, and I'm like, how do you sleep?
Wind yourself up.
How do you sleep? Yeah, seriously. She listens to Niall Boylan during the day.
Oh, God.
She'll watch Claiborne during, like, at night. She'll tune into both the 5:30 and the 6:1 news. I'm just like, how are you not smashing windows at this stage? Do you know? And that's all she'll ever do. Like, she's fairly in, like, she knows what she's talking about.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm just like, you could probably give yourself a bit of a break there, Sheila, because you're constantly, like, a lot of the time, a lot of stuff is negative with her. Like, I'll come to tell her, like, oh, you know, we're looking at this house, or, you know, we got this bit of news from the broker today, and she's just like, oh, well, you know, and you know something negative is going to come out of her mouth, and you're just like, Sheila, just give it a fucking rest.
Fuck up. Be my positive Polly.
Yeah, and I'm making me sound like a horror. She's not. She is a wonderful woman, and I love her with all my heart. It's just, I suppose her flaws are, when you love somebody so unconditionally, but the things that they do that piss you off, just piss you off 100 times more than anyone else because you love them so much.
Yeah.
It's just extra irritating. It's so weird.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, you drive me off the fucking wall.
Yeah. Exactly.
This topic is going to be such an interesting one, but I just want to give something a little shout out. Growing up, my mum raised me and my sister alone after my dad left when we were fairly young. She never got a penny of child support, and we would have grown up in a fairly, quote unquote, rough, more working class area. People often remark to us how they never would have known that we were from said area because we got out and did something with our lives and are fairly well spoken when we could have ended up on the scratcher or on drugs or something. Those are in quotes. Yeah, we never know what to reply to that either. It's only the last few years that I've realised how well my mum done to get us to where we are in our lives on her own, especially since we've been back in contact with my dad in the last few years. Don't even get me started. But very maturely take most chances we get to hype up our mother. So this is just a shout out to all the parents doing it alone and doing a bang up job. Your kids might not recognise it now, but they will eventually, and they will love you even more for it.
Oh, that's so sweet, isn't
That's
it?
very cute.
I have to say, I look, we've said it a few times in this episode. I am not a single mother. I am very much in a relationship with Adam. But if you don't know our situation, we're living apart at the moment while we're saving for a house because we have dogs and we have a child and we can't all fit under the one roof. My ma's not a dog person. Here's another negative thing about me ma. I love her really. But he stays in his auntie's with the dogs. I stay at home with my parents with Bobby. Mm-hmm. And he's over like more than not. You know what I mean? He doesn't stay over. He probably stays one night a week to give me a bit of a break, and then if he's taking him another night a week, he'll take him out and bring him for a sleepover in his own ma's house or whatever. But when I say I feel like a single, it's because he does go home at night, and it's me every night, most nights, and it's me waking up with him in the morning, and it's not having that. I put myself under tremendous pressure to not be a burden on my parents because they've done their time. They've raised their kids. We're living under their roof. And they constantly tell me, look, it's my roof as well. Do you know, they don't verbally or physically make me feel like a burden. I've done that to myself. I'm just no, I can't, I won't let them scream too loud. I won't let them, wake everybody up or anything like that. The anxiety just be through the roof because I'm just like, oh my God, will you shut the fuck up, please? You know what I mean? All that kind of stuff that comes with a rage and toddler. So it's the bits that I'm like, I can't just hand off to Adam any minute that I want. Yeah. He has to be there, and it's not, it's a couple of hours in the evening. Yeah. Because we both work full time as well. So that's what I mean. That's what me and Carla mean when I say I'm a single ma without being a single ma. I can't imagine what being a single ma is actually like, especially a single ma that doesn't have family support or doesn't have financial support, doesn't have any sort of custody, kind of thing, to be able to give, not that this is going to sound worse, I'm just trying to find the words, but that don't co-parent or the kids don't go with the dad for the weekend or every second weekend. It's just them, that's it. It's just
There's no grannies, no nannies, no aunties, no anything. It's just, it's full on 24/7. OMG.
I do not know how to do it. They are fucking superheroes, and the worst thing is they cannot put a foot wrong or they will be fucking lambasted.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because they're single mothers. Yeah. Why are they single mothers? What did she do to become single? How did she end up in that? Why did she keep having kids? That kind of thing.
Oh, I couldn't.
They are literally lambasted. They can't fucking do a thing, and they are literally but definitely
can't. But in particular, single moms.
No, single moms, young single moms, especially can't do a fucking thing without being lambasted for it, and they're absolute superheroes. Yeah, I don't know how to do it. I really don't.
Fair, absolutely fair.
I'd be stuck to the mattress. I have another one here about parents. I wanted to share something about my dad. He went missing for a few days a few years ago. No one knew where he went. We weren't scared, but we were confused. He was always up to something, so worrying didn't really cross our minds. I got a call from him and I asked him where he was, and he said, "I'm eating lobster." I was like, "Okay, where?" And he just answered with a cryptic, "Does your father surprise you?" Didn't understand what he meant, but he's the type of guy you just have to play along with. So I was like, "Oh yeah, very surprising. Why?" And he was like, "I'll call you back tomorrow with a surprise." He calls me back the next day, and I shit you not, he said, "Hey girl, I'm just at Coachella waiting for Beyonce to come on." Mans went alone to Coachella the year Beyonce was playing, got a first class plane there and had a VIP pass at Coachella. My dad was 60 at the time. When he came back, he said he did the best of drugs of his life at Coachella, and she's after sending a picture. Oh my God. It's the band. I'm dying. Send me a pic if you meet a celeb. And he replied, with love. There's a picture of his VIP wristband in question. Also, his response of with love is fucking gas. I've so many stories about like the time he was supposed to help me move out of my apartment, and he was like, I won't make it, I'm at JFK now, just catching the last minute flight to Angola. Like, what the fuck? Truly a wild man, and maybe unfortunately I'm very much like him, but his antics do not go down well with my mother. So it's a sides game, and a lot of the time it's a sides game, so they take sides and stuff like that. He sounds like
He's
the
cool.
crack.
He's so cool.
Now, does he just... I'm
heading off to Coachella.
About my parents, I wanted to share something about my dad. So, I don't know, are they still together? They must be still together, and he just goes off on these
Imagine
fucking...
see you now.
He doesn't even say see you
Does
by
your
the
dad
sound.
surprise you? I'll call you tomorrow with a surprise. You know what I mean? You're like, yeah, you surprised me. What's going on?
Yeah.
And then they're rocking up.
That he went on his own, or does he go with people? Or like,
Can't help you move. Apologies, I'm just at JFK right now.
Catching a flight to Angola.
Yeah.
Fucking gas.
To the islands.
He sounds amazing. I don't know the context. You haven't told me if your parents are together, if he goes alone. I don't know what the crack is.
More stories.
More stories, please. Yeah.
More stories from you.
We need more then.
We need more from your dad. So this might be more me being a kid than parents, but until I was 10, I thought getting a mom haircut was part and parcel of having a baby. Almost every mom I knew had a short hair or bob. I had one friend who was an only child, and her mum had a baby when we were 10. Her mum was the only one I knew closely with long hair, and I just presumed my and all their other mums kept theirs short after the kids. So when she was going in to have the baby, I thought to myself, that's it now, Brenda will be getting the haircut. And then I saw her a few weeks later, and she still had long hair. My mind was blown.
Oh God, it is such a thing, isn't
You're
it?
like, hold on now.
But I feel like say my ma's generation does get away with, like, my ma's always had a short cut, like a really short cut.
Yeah.
Hasn't she?
Yeah.
Like,
mad.
She's always had one. She's never had longer hair, and even pictures, like, she did let it grow out for a while. I think it was a bit longer at my sister's wedding, and even when I see pictures of her and that, I'm like, that no, Sheila, doesn't suit you.
Yeah.
She's just always had it. I remember seeing pictures of her when she was like 35, I want to say, when we had just moved to Blanche, and she had, but my mum went grey very early. She had silver, very short hair when she was in her 30s.
Yeah.
She was a silver fox.
Wait,
Silver kitten.
Isn't it funny? Like, my mum was ginger, but she went blonde at 16 and has never not been blonde.
Mad.
And, like, I remember finding photos of her and being like,
Yeah.
I mean, like, what?
You ginger now?
I was like, are you fucking ginger?
No, she didn't. No, she naturally went grey. I mean, my mum's hair, her greys came in.
No, I know, but I'm just saying another realisation when you're a kid, you're like, hey, you don't have that hair colour?
Yeah, oh, sorry, yeah.
What?
Yeah. Mad.
Huh?
Mad.
Girls of Rees, do you know?
Hey, gals, I've recently started listening to the pod, and every episode is better than the last.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for saying that.
In relation to parents, excuse the notions, but back in the boom, my parents had a lovely holiday home in Wexford and some land with road frontage, as the locals say. I love spending time down there, and when things got tough during the recession, my parents had a bank valuer out to the house. I thought absolutely nothing of it, as my parents both work on property and have a bit of property as their pension funds. But then good hubbing. About 2 weeks ago, after a bank valuer had been to the house, my parents told me and my sister to sit down, as they had something to tell us. 15-year-old me thought, oh my God, they're going to tell us that they're getting divorced or something. Then they broke the news that they were selling the house to one of the local bachelor farmers. I was honestly distraught, to say the least, and stormed out of the room bawling. To this day, I will never forget how stupid it sounds, but you get so attached to houses, the trauma is still there.
Yeah. Again, one of those things you're like, what do you mean? I remember, never forget. Actually, memory unlocked. My mum wanted to move from here into a different house, and the house was around the corner.
Okay.
And I lost it.
Yeah.
lost it. Like I lost my shit. And I used to bin all of the they're like, we want houses in this area. You know, the bloody what do you call it, the estate agent stuff. And also I'll never forget how the way back in the day you go to like there's a Sherry Fitzgerald in the village, and they'd have the brochures. Yeah. And you take them, you'd be like, oh, that house would have the price, and then you'd open it up and have more photos because the internet wasn't that big.
It wasn't that big.
And I remember I'd find them. Oh. And I would see red, and she'd have to hide them from me. And I would see why I didn't want to move down the road fucking beyond me. Like, just one of those things.
The attachment that you have, though, isn't it? To the house, like.
I used to see red, and I used to be like, where did you get these? And she'd be like, oh, they just posted them through the door. And then I remember one time seeing I think I was with my friend's mum, and she was like, we were getting like ice creams in the shop, me and my friend and her friend's mum. She was like, I'm just gonna run in here, grab a few. I was like, you have to go in, which means you have to actually go in, and means you have to go and actually you have to go into the property agent, which means that you're serious. I genuinely believe the reason why my parents didn't move from here is probably because of me.
They were like,
I actually think I manifested us staying here.
And you got hot with it? Like one of them tantrums?
And thank fuck, because the recession what
around the corner, was it?
Taught us a thing or two.
What were they looking to do? Upgrade or?
So like where we live, they wanted to move into my grandparents lived in a place called Deer Park, which is just down that way. They're beautiful, huge fucking gorgeous houses. But my mum wanted to move into a place called the Georgia Village, and I just wasn't having a bar. I just wasn't having a bar of it. I didn't care that I'd be getting a bigger room or whatever else. I didn't give a fuck. I was not giving up this 4-bed semi-D for love nor money. You were not moving me out of here. They ended up buying a property in Malahide. Things went tits up, recession, but that's what they ended up to do instead. They went commercial with the property instead of residential. So so I got my wish. I got to keep this lovely house.
I know when we moved out of Finglas, my sister had a problem with it. Was it that she didn't want to move? Now I know she'll listen to this and tell me that I'm wrong, but this is my memory of the story. My dad actually wanted to move from Finglas to Spain. And
do you ever hear that and like your like stomach drops because you're like, my life would have been so different. I would have been Jennifer.
Yeah, they want. My dad had toyed with the idea of moving to Spain, and then I was told that it was Kim who got upset, and that was the reason why they didn't move.
Oh,
and then she was upset that we were moving anyway.
Yeah,
but recently, my mum said, because they were talking. Who the fuck was talking about who and what now? Something about renters being next door. Anyway, next door to my mum's house, when the fella who used to live next door to my mum, he moved out and he rented the house out. And it was, my cousin is having neighbour trouble. That's what it is. And they were talking and they were like, oh yeah, we used to have kind of rented next door neighbour and it was a fucking nightmare. We even looked at houses in Navan. And I never knew this. She was on the phone telling, speaking about this, and I was like, "What? What the fuck did you say about wanting to move to Navan?" She was just like, "Yeah, we were having such a bad time with the neighbours next door. We actually looked at houses in Navan because that's all we could afford." This was when I was 19, 20. I was like, I didn't know about this.
Yeah,
I'd have fucking fumed. Or would I have? Because Adam lived in Kells and we got together when we were 21, so I don't know.
See, that's what I'd actually love to. I must sit my mum down and be like, "How far did you go?"
Yeah,
because like I just wasn't having a bar of it, and I fully I doubt it was me. I'm sure they did a few.
There was other reasons.
I'm sure there was better reasons. Like Carla will have a meltdown
like
for moving 5 minutes away. I doubt that was the fucking thing.
I think they just kicked you up the hole. I'm sure there was an awful lot.
I'm sure they had a look at the fucking finances for the bleeding gaffs in the Georgia Village, and they were probably maybe not right now, but
yeah. I know, and I'd say that's the same with me. Like it wasn't just me sister was the reason. Like it was just that's what I was told.
Yeah,
or that's what I remembered from the story. I was like, I could have been living in Spain.
Oh, sorry, that was another thing. Then I convinced myself that they wanted a bigger house because they wanted another baby, and I wasn't having a fucking bar of that either. And my mum was like, a little boy. She used to do it to goad me, and I used to be like,
I need to meet your ma. She sounds like great crack.
Yeah,
to be completely honest with
you. I know. She used to goad me on purpose. that's probably like why I am the way that I am.
Yeah.
But I would love to sit her down and be like, how far did you go?
Yeah, I have questions.
I have questions because I remember then one time and again I think it was almost trying to scare me. She was like, well, we might not stay around the area, we might move out somewhere like closer to the yard. And I remember being like, now
You dare?
the
The
I was like, you mean Meath? Are you trying to tell me that we're moving to Meath?
Your face.
Like my grandparents were still alive.
Yeah.
You know, my Castleknock grandparents were still alive, and I didn't even want to move closer to them.
Okay, yeah.
So can you imagine me at Meath?
Georgian Village sounds nice though.
It's built on a fairy fort. I don't think I'd fucks with it. And the
fairy
houses are
fort?
absolutely unbelievable, but like it's built on a fairy fort, yeah.
Oh.
So like I don't know.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. I don't know right now if I'd be very comfortable.
I don't know about that.
Sure. Anyway, things work out for a reason. I'm sure shit would have went tits up with the El recession and everything else like that. You know, there's a reason why we're very blessed.
Yeah, very blessed.
And I think it's because of me. I'm manifested. I think it's because I was like, no parents.
Or maybe they got financial advice and like.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Some advisor turned around and said, "Yeah, no, shit's about to go down. I wouldn't." You're kind of settled. Don't. Recession's on the way.
Yeah,
corner hunt.
Just there's so many things that I do wonder. As I said, they did end up investing in into a property in Malahide, and that went tits up.
Oh yeah, maybe they didn't get financial.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I don't think it was the financial advice part. I think it was they wanted to put their money somewhere, and they found somewhere, and that was 2005. So
fuck.
Well, not a fucking stunning one, I tell you that. But that one's still around too. That one's still knocking around. So
yeah,
they weren't too bad.
The units
Not
left.
too bad.
Malahites. Units left.
Units left.
Shall we do our unpopular opinion of the week and continue with this on Patreon? Patreon.
Yes, let's go.
Let's do it. So, my unpopular opinion of the week. I don't want to sound performative because I'm going to be honest, I'm only just doing an awful lot of learning this week. Didn't really give it much thought before Afghanistan.
Yeah.
But I just want, my opinion is, if you see somebody, or if you know of somebody, or if you indeed are the somebody who is commenting on news outlets who are saying like, oh, we're going to be giving so many places to Afghan refugees, and your first thought is, we can't even look after our own. Just please stop.
Just
call people out if you see it. And the reason is, like, you need to recognize your privilege in that we will never, ever fear for our lives by, like, we'll never have to flee our country for fear of being killed by the people who are running it. Like, we will never be in that situation.
Ever. These
people are literally fleeing their country because they are terrified.
Yeah.
Our problems as a country, and as shit as the housing crisis is, as shit as the homelessness crisis is, they are separate issues. Like, they should not be, like, you shouldn't be talking about them. Like, it's okay to be pissed off about the state of our affairs, but it's also, like, don't be blaming the people that are coming here. Blame the fucking arsehole leaders that made all of this happen. Blame Bush. Blame, like, do you know? I'm fucking disgusted with the comments that I'm seeing on, like, Lad Bible, Joe.ie, like, all these ones that are reporting on it.
It's the same fucking people. Like.
It's the same fucking people, and it's the people that don't have profile photos and their user 19046. Like,
yeah.
But then you do have the old fucking Wayno.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking, no thanks. Don't want them.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of thing. Like,
Leo Barata, you've got a lot on top of.
Or, like, people even saying...
Which he does, but not in this.
Yeah, but people even saying, like, oh, don't blame the immigrants, blame our government. Don't blame our government. What are you fucking talking about? Like, what?
I'm just so confused.
Please just fucking... And I'm not going to preach and say fucking educate yourself, because I'm going to be honest with you. And that's why, like, because I even said to Carla earlier on, I would love to get somebody on who knows what they're talking about, but I don't want to be performative when it comes to... I'm fucking heartbroken hearing about this, because to be honest, I never really thought about it before. And I didn't realise the severity of it, and I didn't even realise what was happening over there. So I'm not going to start preaching because I don't know enough about it, and I don't want to be performative either. But I'm just like, it's one thing I've noticed this week, and I'm just like, I can't fucking not say anything.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So there you go. Find the good resources. I mean, fucking Brett from Love Island's latest post has a load of links in it. Like, that's how easy these things are to find, to be able to just read up a little bit, keep yourself like in the know. Media is a good Instagram page to follow. They're kind of updating things every day, and I'm right there along with you because I didn't know much about it. But that's my opinion this week. Right?
Not so unpopular.
Not so unpopular now, but I just feel like I have a platform, guys, and I need to use it.
Yeah.
Have you got Stamper of the Week?
I do.
Carla's Stomper of the Week.
This one, it's not like an oldie, but it's not current.
Okay.
But it's one that came up on my playlist again. I was like, oh my God, I love this song. And it's by Chloe and Halle. I love them.
Okay.
Halle is playing Ariel in The Little Mermaid live adaptation.
Oh.
And it's called Ungodly Hour, and it's just a bop.
Okay.
It's just very like R&B, like yeah. It's very very good, very very good bop, very good to sing along to. Just enjoy it. Enjoy them as an act.
Okay.
Enjoy them as an act a lot. But yeah.
All right.
If you know it, you know it's a banger, and if you don't know it, it is a banger.
Well, you can check out the link for that in the description of this podcast, because we link those things every week. So the link for the Patreon's there, link for Carla's Stomper of the Week, and the link for the Insta if you want to give us your opinions.
Yes.
They could be anything. You could suggest, like today's topic was a listener suggestion, so you can suggest anything that you think we should talk about.
Yeah.
We should talk about. So that's it. We're going to continue the conversation over on Patreon. Thank you so much for listening. We love you lots, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.